Charles Augustin Coulomb conducted several experiments to study forces between charged particles, and on the basis of his experiments, he established a law that we now call as Coulomb's law. See, this is interesting, especially for young children, to know how scientists work systematically and then reach conclusions which are good enough to be able to formulate a law. Because a law is generally said to be valid under most conditions. For instance, you can use Coulomb's law if you put the two charges into water, if you were to take them into space, or anywhere else in the universe for that matter. So Coulomb's law is supposed to be valid. Now Coulomb's law states that the magnitude of the electric force between the 2 point charges is directly proportional to the product of the charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So we can write this mathematically as F is equal to a constant K times Q1, Q2, which is the magnitude of the two charges, over R square, distance between the centers of the two charges. And the value of the constant K depends on the choice of units. So we will make a choice of units so that the force is in newtons. In that case, in SI units, where the force is in newtons, the charges are in coulombs, and the distance is in meter, the value of K is approximately equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per coulomb square. See, K is a constant which is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, and the approximate value of epsilon naught is 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb square over Newton meter square, because this would be the reciprocal. So this will be coulomb square over Newton meter square. See, this whole constant thing might seem very confusing, but if you just think that, say we put these charges into water. So if you put the charges into water, which factor is going to change? You have the same two charges, Q1, Q2, placed at the same distance, R. So in case you put the charges into water, the factor K is going to change, which means this factor K is determined by the intervening medium. So if the medium changes, then the value of K changes. Now in most questions that we'll be doing, the two charges are placed in air. So for that you need to remember that the value of the constant K is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square per coulomb square. Now let's look at this one by one and see how does each of this affect the force between the charges. We know that the force is given by K Q1 Q2 over R square. So the first is if either of the two charges increases, whether it is Q1 or Q2, we know that the force is going to increase because the product Q1 and Q2 will increase. So the force increases. So you might think that say one of the charges Q1 is negative. Even if it is negative, we will simply say that the force is in the negative direction, but the magnitude of the force is going to increase. Because if you look at this formula, this is the magnitude of the product Q1, Q2. If the distance between the charges is doubled, which means if R is made 2R, and you can see that it is squared and it is in the denominator, so the new force F dash, let's call it F dash, is going to be 1 by 4 times the earlier force. So the force is going to decrease 4 times. Now if the distance is halved, which means if you change R to R by 2, then once again you can see that the new force F is going to increase 4 times, because if you're going to bring the charges closer together, then the force between them is going to increase, and if you're going to take the charges further away, then the force between them is going to decrease. Now I'm sure you must have noticed this, must be also wondering that Coulomb's law is very similar to Newton's law of gravitation. Here we have F is equal to K Q1 Q2 over R square, and for Newton's law of gravitation we have G m1 m2 over R square, which is the gravitational force between two particles with mass m1 and m2 separated by a distance r. Now let's just compare the two forces and see. See, the gravitational force is always attractive. This is always attractive, whereas the Coulomb force can be attractive if the two charges are like, which means if they have the same charges would mean if say both are positive or both are negative, in that case the forces would be repulsive. But for unlike charges, which means one is positive and the other is negative, the forces can be attractive. Next is the direction of the force between the two charges that they exert is always along the line joining the two charges. So suppose you have two charges Q1 and Q2. The force between them will act along the line joining the two charges, and same is the case for the masses. So if you have two masses m1 and m2, then the force between them will be along the line joining the two masses. The next point is that in both the cases the forces obey Newton's third law. This is along the line joining the two charges, and the next point is in both the cases the force between the two charges obeys Newton's third law, which means that the force exerted by 1 on 2 is equal and opposite to the force exerted by 2 on 1, which is also true in case of Newton's law of gravitation. Now say you have a system like this where you are given three charges, one placed at A, another at B, and the third charge, which is a red charge, at Q, and you want to find the force on Q. We need to find the force on Q. To find the force on charge Q, since we know Coulomb's law now, we can apply Coulomb's law, which means we find the force on Q due to A and then find the force on Q due to B, because Coulomb's law gives us the force between two charges. So you know this is K Q1 Q2 by R square. So we can't apply Coulomb's law to three charges. We need to first apply it to two charges and then to the other two charges and then add up the total force vectorially. I have discussed this in the next lesson. See, actually the Coulomb is a very large unit of charge. So generally you would be given charges and microcoulomb and nanocoulomb. So you need to know that a microcoulomb is equal to 10 to the power minus 6 coulombs and a nanocoulomb is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb. I have a quick question for you. You have a charge of 1 microcoulomb and another charge, a smaller charge of 1 nanocoulomb. Now, do the large charge and the small charge experience the same force?